So, what about the Sonic movie, eh? So as you guys know, recently they did release the first official trailer for the new Sonic movie that's coming out in late 2019. It's actually coming out in November of this year. And prior to this trailer actually being released, they did actually show the first models of Sonic, how Sonic was going to look in this upcoming movie. And honestly, most people did not like the way Sonic looked. Even the creator of Sonic from Sega just did not like the way Sonic actually looked in the movie. So in this video, I'm going to be reacting to the Sonic trailer and giving my thoughts and opinions on this movie, because almost everybody on the internet has already talked about their opinions and their thoughts of this upcoming Sonic movie that's coming out later this year, and I am no exception, and I do want to talk about this movie. Now, I've already seen this movie, or I've already seen this trailer prior to coming on camera, so unfortunately it's not going to be my live reaction like everybody else, but that's fine and dandy, because you guys already know what to expect. And if you haven't seen the trailer by now, what can I really say about this? Go watch the trailer, but I'm assuming by now you've already seen the trailer for the upcoming Sonic movie that's currently coming out. Now, what are my overall thoughts and opinions on this Sonic movie that's coming out earlier this year? Honestly, if you were to ask me personally, I'm kind of up in the air with this whole thing. Really, there's not really too much to go off of when it comes to this trailer. I feel like we need a little bit more, but what we got was definitely questionable. I know a lot of people out there were actually making fun of this upcoming Sonic movie, but they have every right to make fun of this upcoming Sonic movie, because from this trailer alone, it did seem like this movie's not going to be that great. I wouldn't actually say this movie is going to be a complete disaster, and I'm not just going to write this movie off like a lot of people are willing to do. They're just assuming they're just going to write this movie off because either A, they don't like some of the characters, or B, they don't like the way Sonic looks, or they just don't like this trailer specifically that's making them have a bad taste in their mouth. But me personally, I feel like you should maybe give this movie a chance. I will agree, the biggest thing that's really going to get hard to get used to when you're actually watching this movie is the fact that Sonic does look odd for some odd reason. I don't know why he looks really odd. Some people will tell you his legs are wrong, or some people will tell you his body's wrong. I will agree, though, there's something wrong with his body. I'm not going to say specifically what's wrong with his body, but if you look at Sonic in this movie, Sonic definitely looks really wrong in this movie. So I do have to agree with everybody out there on the internet. Sonic does look weird, and it's really hard to get used to his, I think, CGI model in the actual movie. It just looks downright odd. I wouldn't say it's the worst thing ever. They probably could have done a way worse job at this, and it could have definitely been worse, but they obviously could have done a much more better job and made it look like some of the other Sonics, because clearly this is not the best Sonic out there, and most people agree this is not a good Sonic, and that's ultimately going to ruin the movie, because what do you have to do when you watch this Sonic movie? Primarily, it's about Sonic, so as you're watching this movie, you're going to be primarily focusing a lot on Sonic, and you're going to seeing Sonic get a lot of screen time, and since Sonic is going to be getting a lot of screen time, if he looks downright ugly or downright not too good, then it's going to detract from the movie experience itself, and it's not going to be a good movie experience if you have to stare at a downright bad Sonic model in the actual movie. And it's not just the fans who don't like it. Like I said, it's actually even the Sega maker of Sonic who doesn't like the design of Sonic. It kind of actually makes me wonder why Sega actually licensed this movie or allowed this movie to become into production, because I'm sure Sega had to have some say when it comes to this movie being produced and being made. Couldn't Sega be like, well, we don't like the way Sonic looks, we don't like the way some of these characters are, why can't we actually change some of this stuff? I'm sure somebody at Sega probably green-lighted this thing and they thought it was a-okay, but somehow this movie is being made, and that always sucks too. Every time you always have to worry about video game movies coming to the big screen. Every time they take like a video game property and make it like a big screen movie, for some reason I always feel like a lot of these movies somehow get destroyed, or people who make these movies don't understand the character itself, or they're not in love with these actual video game characters. It's almost like fans of these video game characters, whether we're talking about Sonic the Hedgehog, whether we're talking about that bad Mario movie from the 80s and 90s, whatever it came out, it's almost like fans need to make these movies. It's not like Hollywood needs to make these movies. I almost kind of wonder too if some of these movies that are coming out, like this specific Sega movie, this Sonic movie being produced, I almost wonder if they're purposely making this a bad movie so that they can maybe make you want to watch this movie, because I know a lot of people out there, including me myself, I am actually going to go watch this in the movie. Maybe not day one, but I will try to go out and watch this movie just for the fact that I can get a good laugh at this movie. And since I am a video game fan, and since I do love Sonic to some extent, I will go out and watch this movie just to get a good laugh of it. So it's kind of like Hollywood is purposely making a bad Sonic movie so that you'll purposely go out and watch this movie, which I do think is actually quite funny. Now, what else do we got outside of in the trailer besides Sonic looking downright terrible or downright mediocre when it comes to his model? It's actually quite funny as well. Before I move on from Sonic, I just wanted to point out as well, it's kind of weird he has some electricity effect in the movie. I don't know why that is the case. I don't know if Sonic itself actually has electricity power. As far as I remember from playing Sonic games, he doesn't specifically have an electricity ball roll, so that's kind of odd. They put an electricity ball roll inside the movie. And something I did notice, which was very odd with Sonic's design in the movie specifically, I did notice from scene to scene, it looks like his body was changing sizes. I don't know why that is, and I hope that's not the case, because one instance you're seeing him in the car talking to somebody, and then outside of the car his body just looks really weird and stretched out. So I don't know, it looks like his model is all over the place, and it doesn't look like he has one steady model, and that does kind of bug me a little bit, that I noticed his model was kind of changing between car and between being outside. It was ugly ones and then kind of okay here. I don't know what's up with that, but yeah, that's that. And then let's talk about the biggest thing in this movie besides Sonic itself. Let's actually talk about Eggman or Dr. Robotnik in this movie, because Eggman and Dr. Robotnik, of course, play a big part of this movie, and a lot of people were talking about that as well. Now, the person that got to actually play Dr. Robotnik or Eggman, for some of you younger viewers, is actually Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey is actually going to be the man playing it. Do I think Jim Carrey is going to be the perfect fit for this character? Honestly, I'm not a director, and I don't really know characters, and I don't really know comedians in the film industry, but what I can say is he could probably play a good Dr. Robotnik or Eggman, if you ask me personally. A lot of people may or may not disagree with that. I guess it just depends on your taste of Jim Carrey, and depends on this movie alone and how you look at it when you actually watch the trailer. But for me, I think it's going to be okay with Jim Carrey. I will have to agree with fans out there specifically that it's kind of weird they didn't get the right person to play Eggman, not really Jim Carrey. Not that he's a bad comedian or not that he's a bad person. He's fine and dandy for the job. The only problem is when it comes to this movie and when it comes to the Sonic universe, you guys know Dr. Robotnik or Eggman is actually fat, and he's bald. For some reason they didn't cast a bald person or a fat person in this movie, which kind of did defeat the whole purpose of this. If you're going to be making a Sonic movie, of course, you really need to make a movie that's going to be about the Sonic universe, and it's really going to make sure that it hits every target well. And in this case, it looks like they're not really portraying Eggman the way he should be portrayed in the actual Sonic games, which makes no sense. It's kind of weird if you look at the trailer itself. On the very first scene, you see Eggman or Dr. Robotnik, played by Jim Carrey, come outside the whatever he was in. It does look like he was having hair, which is kind of suspicious because Eggman, Dr. Robotnik, does not have hair in the actual video game, so that was kind of weird. On top of that, like I said again, he wasn't fat, so there's 2 strikes against the actual character design. It's like Hollywood did not know the actual character design. I will have to admit something though, if you watch the trailer all the way to the end, which you might miss, and you might even turn off the trailer before this actually happens, but at the end of the film, it does look like they finally figure out how Eggman or Dr. Robotnik was supposed to look, because he does finally go bald. Is he actually going to be fat at the end? Who really knows if he's actually going to be fat? I actually have a suspicion, and some other people were actually talking about this. This may be specifically more about Dr. Robotnik or Eggman in the movie, because if you look at the movie, first of all, you see him with hair, and then at the end of the trailer you see him without hair. So is that some kind of transition throughout the movie? Are we missing some plot lines here or there that leads up to him losing his hair, maybe becoming fat if they put him in a fat suit? So who really knows? And the little like goggles, like those airship goggles you wear when you're actually flying a plane, they finally get that right as well. So overall, it does seem like the transition from Eggman from the first part to the second part really does clean up slightly when it comes to his design. At least they kind of figured it out. It was also kind of weird in this trailer too. I forgot the name of the song specifically, but everyone was questioning the type of song that kept playing in the trailer itself. I forgot specifically the name of it. I will admit it was kind of a weird choice of music to actually put with this Sonic movie, but what can you say? But overall, my feelings of this movie as of right now are a mixed bag. The jokes that Jim Carrey and the jokes that were in the trailer specifically as well were kind of questionable. I kind of chuckled a little bit when Jim Carrey was talking to the to the army official, which is kind of weird, and it kind of feels wrong too in this movie specifically, that they're focusing a lot on like maybe Sonic is like a bad character, or there's some aliens or something, because they go into like an army room, you guys know, the meeting room, and then they also have more army stuff, so that's kind of questionable. But overall, my feelings of this again are going to be very mixed when it comes to this movie. On one hand, I don't think it may not be a bad movie. To be honest, I didn't see enough in this movie to really say if this movie is going to be a bad movie or a good movie. I will say Sonic's design is questionable. They could have definitely done a better job on Sonic's design. Eggman is questionable. Who knows if Jim Carrey is going to play a good Eggman or Dr. Robotnik. Overall, I don't know the plot of this movie, but overall, this seems like it could be a bad movie or a good movie. It's leaning towards more of a bad movie, if you ask me personally. So that's just me, myself. Like I said, I will be probably watching this when this movie comes out, just to get a chuckle here or there. And we know this is not going to be an amazing movie no matter what. Most likely it's going to be getting pretty low scores from video game fans, and even people who aren't video game fans will probably give this a pretty low score as well. Maybe kids will actually like this, because I feel like for some reason with these types of movies, whether it's the old Mario movie, whether it's this movie, or video game movies in general, I feel like younger kids will definitely appreciate these movies much more than older folks, like young adults that are in their 20s and 30s, because, well, I feel like we actually know about the universe, and we're not actually watching it just to be watching it. We're watching it because we're fans of video games, and we're fans of those franchises like Sonic. We're big Sonic fans, and we love the Sonic universe, so of course we want to go there and make us feel like we're actually watching a Sonic movie and watching a second movie as well, having all of our beloved childhoods and have all of our beloved characters be in one movie, and we love everything about those. And that's why kids will probably like it more, because they don't see it as something that they've loved for years. Maybe they don't care. Maybe they're just watching it for the actual character and for the actual movie itself.